Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to whoever who has joined this presentation from around the world. I joined IBNS last year in 2020, so I'm very happy to make this presentation to you all on the theme Guiding Lights Through Banknotes. So in the interest of time, I will straight away get into the presentation. Okay, Fabrizio, you can see the second screen now, right? Okay, good.
Yes, it's
so good. So according to the research that I have done over the last few years, there are about 80 to 85 currency notes that features a lighthouse that has been issued by various currency issuing authorities. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, when the reverse or the front of the note where the lighthouse is featured has had no change in the issue between issues, I will present only one such note in the interest of time. And to give you an example, the Gibraltar's 10-pound note of 1995 and 2002, I will only show one note because the reverse of the note where the lighthouse is featured is the same, even though the front has two different images. In the same way, Sri Lanka's 500 rupee note of 2010 and 2013, I'm going to show you both notes because there are slight changes on the side where the lighthouse appears. So this presentation is going to cover about 50 notes in the interest of time. So let's start with my own country, Sri Lanka's 500 rupee note. There's within the red circle, you will see the lighthouse, a tiny little structure. The Sri Lanka on top is the note that is in circulation right now, issued in 2010. And at the bottom is the commemorative note issued in 2013 for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. The lighthouse featured on this note within that tiny red circle is the Galbokka Point Lighthouse. Now that lighthouse marks the entrance to the port of Colombo. It is the first lighthouse to be inaugurated in independent Sri Lanka in 1952. And the height of this lighthouse is 26 meters. It has a very panoramic view of the Indian Ocean, from where many people would gather in the evenings to spend time. But of course, the future of this lighthouse would now be in a question because as to how it will help the maritime activities, because the surrounding area has been is being filled, the sea is being filled to build the port city of Colombo. So in a few months or years time, this lighthouse will not be active anymore. Then we move to my neighboring country, India, the 20 rupee note of India, which features it's the Gandhi series note, which features the North Bay Island Lighthouse in the Andaman Islands. I've tried, again, within the red circle, you will see the lighthouse, and to the right, I have tried to get a view of a picture which is appearing in the lighthouse on the note itself. So that's the note which was first issued in 2002 and was in use until 2018. Between 2012 and 2018, India introduced a new rupee sign, an R, which you can see within the blue circles on the bottom note. So this is the lighthouse, the North Bay Island Lighthouse. And talking about that lighthouse, it's located on the northern side of the entrance to the harbor at Port Blair. It was constructed, the present lighthouse was constructed in 1972, but a light station there had been established since 1887. The lighthouse is 72 meters high. It's a manned lighthouse, and it can be accessed only by boat. Next, we move on to the MACAU currency series, the 10 PATACAS note. This has had several designs over the years. So it started in 1981. It features the Guia Lighthouse in MACAU. The note issued between 1981 and 1984 is on the left. And then in 1984, the same note, there is a commemorative issue to mark the MACAU Grand Prix, which also has a similar image of the lighthouse. And then the same lighthouse appeared in subsequent years. Between 1995 and 1996, the lighthouse emerged on the note. It had a brownish color note. And then between 2000 and 2002, the color changed to red. And in 2003, there have been slight changes in the design in the front. You can see those slight changes in the design within the blue circles of the red note at the bottom, if you compare it with the note on the top. Now, and then the same lighthouse appears in the MACAU 100 PATACAS note, which is currently in circulation. And talking about the lighthouse itself, it is situated within the Guia Fortress, which is a 17th century colonial military fort on top of the on top of a mountain in Sao Lazarao in MACAU. The fort and the lighthouse is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The lighthouse was constructed between 1864 and 1865, and it's the first Western-style lighthouse in the Far East, or the southeast of Asia, or even within the Chinese coast. The first Western-style lighthouse. This lighthouse is 91 meters in height. The Guia Fortress, along with the chapel and the lighthouse, are symbols of MACAU's military, maritime, and the missionary past. The lighthouse is inactive and it is not opened to the public. Okay, Gibraltar's 10-pound note features the Europa Point Lighthouse. The note was issued between 1995 and 2006, was in circulation, and within the red oval, you will see the lighthouse, Europa Point Lighthouse, which is situated at the Europa Point on the southeastern tip of Gibraltar, and marks the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea. Europa Point Lighthouse was inaugurated in August 1841. It was automated in 1994. It has a focal height is 49 meters. The lighthouse remains active to this day. The lighthouse is the only such building outside the British Isles, which is operated by Trinity House, which is the lighthouses operating authority in the UK. Now, to navigate the Bay of Gibraltar, prior to opening the lighthouse, sailors were dependent on the light which was emitted by the Shrine of Our Lady of Europe, which was an original mosque. So it is in the same place that the Europa Point Lighthouse was built. Okay, now to the new, to the note, the current note, which features the Margate Lighthouse in Kent, which is appearing on the England 20-pound note, which has been in circulation since 2020. Incidentally, it was nominated by the members of the IBNS for the award in 2020, for the IBNS Banknote of the Year Award 2020. Margate Lighthouse is situated at the end of the Margate Harbour in Kent and marks the newly built breakwater. The original lighthouse was built in 1829, but it was destroyed in 1953. And the lighthouse that is standing today and which is appearing on the note within the security thread was built in 1955 in the polymer in the opaque window. You will see the lighthouse under a UV light. The focal height of the lighthouse is 18 meters. Okay, now to the £5 note of Jersey, which was in circulation between 1989 and 2000. On the reverse, you see the Corbier Lighthouse. Corbier Lighthouse is on a rock at the extreme southwestern point of Jersey in Jersey. The southwest corner of the island had a fearsome reputation amongst sailors and was the scene of many shipwrecks. It was constructed in 1884 and lit for the first time on the 24th of April, 1884. The first lighthouse to be built in the British Isles. The focal height is 36 meters. A causeway links during low tide for the pedestrians to reach the lighthouse. And it was automated in 1976. It is one of the most photographed landmarks in Jersey. And it is supposed to be the world's first lighthouse to be built of concrete. So you see that lighthouse on the Jersey £20 note. Okay. Now to the Somalia's 10 shilling note, which there are two types. The first note was in circulation between 1975 and 1980, and the second one between 1983 and 1987. It's the Al Manara Lighthouse in Mogadishu. The tower itself, today the site is a mosque. It is a 15th century medieval lighthouse in Mogadishu that guided ships across the Silk Road to the harbor of Mogadishu. Its name literally means light tower and represents an important example of medieval African navigational engineering. The tower provided merchant class and the urban population protection against raids from the nomadic regions. It's today a mosque and it doesn't function as a lighthouse. Now to one of the oldest notes which features a lighthouse, which is the £1 note of the Arbroath Bank. These are two of the oldest notes. The one from the left is from 1828, and on the other one on the right is from 1840. The lighthouse featured is the Eddystone Lighthouse. Now, Eddystone Lighthouse, the shape of the lighthouse has changed over the years. And the note features the third lighthouse to be built at this location, and that's what you see on the left. The lighthouse, the architectural image, is the third lighthouse that was built there. So here you will see how the image, how the structure has changed over the years. Today, what is standing at Eddystone is the fifth structure, and the third structure built between 1759 and which functioned between 1759 and 1877 is on the note. Talking about the lighthouse itself, it is situated on the dangerous rocks 9 miles south of the Ram Head in Cornwall. The rocks are submerged at high spring tide and were so feared by the mariners entering the English Channel. Hence, the lighthouse was built to warn the mariners sailing in the channel. Construction of the third lighthouse began in August 1756, and the light was inaugurated. It was lit for the first time in 1759 on the 16th of October. It was the third lighthouse was decommissioned in 1882. The tower is 18 meters in height. In 1807, the ownership of the management of the lighthouse was taken over by Trinity House. The tower standing today is the fifth lighthouse, which was built between 1878 and 1881. And it was automated there in 1982, powered by solar. Now, interesting feature about the Eddystone Lighthouse was that it was used on the exterior, in some of the exterior shots in the Phantom Light, a 1935 film. The English pop group Edison also took its name from the lighthouse. Okay, to the Norway's 1,000 kroner note, which was in circulation between 1975 and 1987 on the rivers, and you see the lighthouse within the red circle. It features a painting of the old lighthouse of Vardø in the Hornoya Island, Norway's easternmost. It is Norway's easternmost lighthouse. The old lighthouse was built in 1855 and was replaced with a new lighthouse in 1896. So unfortunately, there are no images that I can show you of this old lighthouse, which is appearing on the Norway's 100 kroner note. Then to the Norway's 50 kroner note, which is right now in circulation since 2017. It is the Atviel Lighthouse in Norway, which marks the westernmost point of Norway. It is located on a small rocky island, about 6.5 kilometers, Yatri Sula, and the site can only be accessed by boat. It was the first lighthouse. It was first lit in 1900, and it was listed as a protected site since 1999. The surrounding area is a protected nature reserve. The lighthouse marks the line of transition between the North Sea to the southwest and the Norwegian Sea to the northwest. The light station was heavily damaged in an air raid during the Second World War. Many of the buildings were burned, but the historic tower survived. The lighthouse's the focal height is 41 meters, and it was automated in 2004. Now to the Turkey 10 lira note, which was in circulation between 1966 and 1970. It is the Maiden Tower lighthouse in Istanbul. Maiden Tower was constructed during the medieval period. It's a tower on a small island at the southern entrance to the Bosphorus Strait in Istanbul. It was possibly built as a customs station for ships coming from the Black Sea. It was used as a lighthouse between 1731 and 1743. The tower was featured in the Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. It was also visible in the background in the 1963 James Bond movie from Russia with love. Next is again Turkey's 1000 lira note, which features the Rumeli lighthouse in Istanbul. The note was in circulation between 1986 and 1988. And within the red circle, you will see the lighthouse. It's a historical lighthouse which is still in use and is located on the European side of the Black Sea. The tower was constructed in 1830, but was converted to a lighthouse in 1856. The focal height is 58 meters. The lighthouse was built to provide safe navigation for the French and British warships entering and exiting the Black Sea during the Crimean War. Rumeli is open to the public, and it's a historical protected site. A saint by the name of Sari Saltuk has a tomb inside the lighthouse. Next, we see the Romania's 200 lei note, which was issued in 1982, features the Sulina lighthouse. It was the first lighthouse to be built at Sulina in 1745. The current lighthouse in this location, the second one, it's featured on the note and is a historical monument in Sulina, Romania, on the left bank of the Danube. It was constructed in 1887 and operated as a lighthouse until 1922. It was taken out of service at the beginning of 1922 after the expansion work of the canal. During the Second World War, the lighthouse was converted into an observation point that was used by the German Navy. Now we look at the Russia's 1000 ruble note, which features the Cape Ryoza lighthouse in Vladivostok, which was issued in 1995. It marks the entrance to the Vladivostok Bay. It helps in the navigation and the safe sailing around the islands of Workers-Keo. It was constructed in 1907, and the lighthouse started to function in 1913. It has a height of 29 meters, and it's situated 25 meters above sea level. The lighthouse, you can see it within the red circle. Again, still remaining with Russia, it's the 100 ruble note, which a commemorative note, which features the Chersony lighthouse in Sevastopol in Russia. It was issued in 2015. By the way, the lighthouse is within the red oval on the note. It was issued in 2015 as a commemorative note to mark the reunification of Crimea with Russia. The lighthouse is located at the entrance to Sevastopol Bay in the southwestern part of the Cape. It was built in 1816, and throughout its long life, it has played an important role in the history of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. During the Second World War, the lighthouse was destroyed, but was rebuilt between 1950 and 51. Up to this day, it provides safe navigation on the seaway of Sevastopol. And this note also was nominated as one of the IBNS banknotes for the IBNS Banknote of the Year in 2015. Next to the Guernsey £5 note, on the reverse, you see the Hanoi Lighthouse in Guernsey. It was built between 1860 and 1862. Its site, it is located in a site known as the Le Bézère. It's a part of the reefs of Le Hanoi, which is 1 mile northwest of Plenamont. It was erected in response to an increasing number of shipwrecks on the rocks off the sea there, as an appeal that was made. And the shipwrecks, before the lighthouse was built, two of the most famous shipwrecks was the HMS Boreas and the Marie Elizabeth, which was a Danish merchant ship. The focal height of the lighthouse is 33 meters. It was automated in 1996. German forces occupied the lighthouse in 1940, but it was not lit until 1945 again. Today, this is how you see the lighthouse. Helipad was included or built in the lighthouse in 1979. And so that's the Guernsey £5 note, which was in circulation between 1996 and 2008. Okay, then we have Argentina's 50 pesos note. It's a stylized lighthouse which appears on the note. One cannot identify and say a particular lighthouse. It's a stylized image. Again, nominated as one of the IBNS banknotes of the year in 2015. And the note was in circulation since 2015. Okay, now to Bahamas, to the $10 note, which features the Elbow Cay lighthouse in Hope Town. Now, this lighthouse has been appearing in the $10 note since 1984. And you can see how the image has been changing ever since. The color shadings have changed, and even there has slight design changes in the design on the reverse of the note. And the latest note, the $10 note, which has been in circulation in 2016, also features the same lighthouse, Elbow Cay. Now, that note was nominated in 2016 as one of the IBNS banknotes of the year. In talking about the $10 note, the lighthouse was built in 1862 and became operational 2 years later. The lighthouse marks the treacherous nearby reef at Elbow Reef. The British Imperial Lighthouse Service built the lighthouse. And when the construction commenced, the local people opposed the construction as Hope Town's economy was entirely dependent on the shipwrecks. They would wait for ships to run aground and called upon to do the repairs. Elbow Reef is one of the last operational kerosene-fueled lighthouses in the world. It's managed and preserved by the Elbow Reef Lighthouse Society as a fully working, non-automated lighthouse. The lighthouse is 37 meters in height. Okay. Then to the Jamaica's $1 note, which was in use in circulation from 1978 to 1990 on the rivers. Within the red circle, you'll see the Folly Point Lighthouse in Jamaica. The lighthouse was built in 1888. It's powered by solar and is a protected monument. It's 16 meters in height. Next, we see the Bermuda's $5 note, again a note which has been in use since 1970, features the St. David's Lighthouse. There has been several design changes on the reverse. Originally, when the note was issued in 1970, it said Bermuda Government, and subsequently notes have been issued by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. St. David's Lighthouse, which appears on the note, is situated on the eastern end on a hill overlooking the headland of St. David's in Bermuda. It is one of the only 2 traditional lighthouses in Bermuda. It was constructed in 1876 and became operational in 1879. Originally, the lighthouse was painted only white, and subsequently, a red band was added. And in the height of the lighthouse is 65 meters. In 1940, the ship Pelinion, a freighter which was oblivious to the fact that the lighthouse had been switched off due to the war, ran aground and broke into two on the reef to the east of St. David's Head. Lighthouse is open daily to the visitors between May and September of each year. Lighthouse appeared in the motion picture The Deep, and this film, the film was made on the location of the lighthouse. Bermuda's $20 note features the Gibbs Hill Lighthouse, which this is the current note which is in circulation. And the Gibbs Hill Lighthouse has appeared on the Bermuda notes, $50 notes, since 1970. There has been a color change from brown to red over the years until it was taken off circulation. Now, talking about the Gibbs Hill Lighthouse, it was built in 1844 and it's still active. It's the first lighthouse in the world to be built of cast iron. It was automated in 1964. The focal height is 108 meters. It overlooks the South Shore and the Little Sound in Bermuda. It's open to the public. Hurricane Fabian's caused extensive damage to the lighthouse, and it was reopened again in October 2003 after repairs. In the decade before the lighthouse was constructed, a total of 39 ships were wrecked in this location. Its powerful beam can be seen up to 40 miles out at sea. That's the Gibbs Hill Lighthouse, which appears in the Bermuda's $20 and $50 note. Now to the Sweden's 50 krona note, which has been in circulation since 2015, features the Wiesen Lighthouse in Sweden. The lighthouse was established in, the light station was established in 1884, and the lighthouse was built in 1939. It's 8.5 meters in height. It's located on the southern tip of Wiesen, marking the narrow passage between the island and the island of Stowe. Its surrounding area is a protected site, and it's accessible only by boat. Now to the Libya's 50 dinar note, which features the said Karabich Lighthouse in Libya, which was nominated as one of the IBN's banknotes for the year in 2013. It was issued by the Central Bank of Libya as a part of a new series of banknotes introduced in 2011 following the Libyan civil war. And it was issued into general circulation in 2013. It was built in 1922 during the Italian colonization and was lit in 1928. The lighthouse sustained severe damage during the Second World War and in the recent Civil War. A renovation project was announced, and the reconstruction of the original lighthouse took place. I'm not sure as to whether the reconstruction has been, or the repairs have been done up to now. So that's the Libya's 50 dinar note, which was in circulation between 2013 and 2016. Portugal's 20 escudos note, which was in use in 1978, features the 16th century fortification in Lisbon that served as an embarkation and a disembarkation point for Portuguese explorers. Between 1865 and 67, a beacon was installed on the southeast terrace of the building, and it functioned as a lighthouse. In 1983, the tower was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Morocco's 200 dirhams note features the El Hank Lighthouse in Casablanca. The note was in circulation between 2002 and 2005. The lighthouse, El Hank Lighthouse, is situated in the western part of the port of Casablanca. It is the highest lighthouse in Morocco. It came into operation in 1920 and helped in the development of Casablanca as it facilitated access to the port, which was previously considered dangerous. The focal height is 51 meters. Okay. So next we see the 200 dirhams note again of Morocco, which features the Cape Spartel Lighthouse in Tangier. The note is in circulations at present, first issued in 2012. It stands at the lower part on a height of 8 miles off Tangier on a cliff. It was built in October 1864. Its construction and the inauguration was the culmination of years of negotiations amongst 9 European nations, Austria, Belgium, Spain, France, Great Britain, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Sweden, United States, and the Moroccan government. It provides safe navigations in the Strait of Gibraltar. It says that the signatories to the agreement agreed to share the cost of running the lighthouse evenly through annual contributions, exempting the Moroccan authorities from the same, as the country had no navy. The Moroccan government in return would ensure the safety of the lighthouse through a guard composed of a guide and 4 soldiers. The Aruba 50 Florian note, which features the Wilhelm III Tower, it was constructed within the Fort Ottoman in Aruba. It functioned as a lighthouse between 1868 and 1963. It was named after King William of the Netherlands on his birthday in 1868 on the 19th of February. This tower ceased to function as a lighthouse in 1963. Since 1963, the tower has functioned in various different capacities: a post office, library, and a police station, and a watchtower. UNESCO has regarded the tower as a place of memory of the slave trade route in the Caribbean, Latin Caribbean. And the note was issued in 2019. Okay, this is one of the most beautiful notes to feature a lighthouse, the Netherlands 250 guilders note, which was in circulation between 1985 and 2002. It's the only 250 guilder note that has ever been circulating in Netherlands and was issued in 1985. The note onto the image to the right within the blue frame, which the blue frame is not part of the note, which I have included, that is a small poem, is a poem, a fair sailor's grave. It is appearing on the note. The lighthouse featured is the West Sichuan lighthouse near Harmsdut in the Dutch province of Zeeland. So that's the image of the lighthouse, and it is a 50-meter high lighthouse which was built in 1840. The height is 58 meters. It's the tallest lighthouse in the Netherlands. The lighthouse got its red and white colors in 1934 when the airport was built there, so that the pilots were warned of it from a distance. It is automated, but it's close to the public. The range of the lighthouse is 30 nautical miles. Right, now to the Ghana's 50 cedis note, which features the Bobowasi Island Lighthouse in Ghana. The note was in circulation between 1965 and 1967. The lighthouse is located on the island off the coast of Axim Town in the western region of Ghana. The lighthouse was built in 1915. It was inactive between 1957 and 2003, but it has been restored back into service in 2008. The height of the lighthouse is 24 meters. That's the Bobwazi Lighthouse, appearing on the Ghana 50 cedis note in circulation until 1967. Then to the Lithuania's 200 liters note, which features the Kalapedia North Breakwater Lighthouse. It was built in 1796. It's the third oldest lighthouse in the Baltic Sea. The lighthouse is 10 meters, but it height was 10 meters, but was destroyed during the Second World War. The note was in circulation until 2014. Then to the Dominican Republic's 500 peso note, it's a modern building. It's a mausoleum which is located in Santo Domingo, pays tribute to Christopher Columbus. It's known as the Columbus Lighthouse. Its construction began in 1986 using plans of a Scottish architect from 1931 in time for the 500th anniversary of Columbus's first voyage, and was inaugurated in 1992. It says that the beams of the light which emanate towards the sky can be even seen from space. North Korea's 10-won note, which was in circulation between 1992 and 1998, which features the Nampo Dam Lighthouse. The present lighthouse was built in 1986, and a light station was built there in 1907. So you can see the lighthouse within the red circle on the north, on the rivers. The height is 86 meters. It's North Korea's tallest and most powerful lighthouse. The light marks the actual entrance to the Tidong River and the port of Nampo. Okay, then we come to Cape Verde's 500 Escudos note. It's on top of the hill within the red circle. It's the Don Louis Lighthouse, which is featured on the Cape Verde's 500 Escudos note, which was first issued into circulation in 1989. The tower is 42 feet. It was built in 1916. Actually, the lighthouse tower is not really visible on the note, but if you take a closer look on the picture, you will see this tiny lighthouse. Okay, so now to the last slide on my presentation, which is the Algeria and Tunisia's 5 franc note. Within the red square, you will see the Admiralty Lighthouse in Algiers, which was built in 1834. The focal height is 16 meters. The lighthouse and the surrounding area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it's been inactive since 1920. I will, before I end the slide, my presentation, I will pose a question to the audience, probably if someone can answer or we can discuss that, as to why the notes originally issued by Algeria was overprinted by Tunisia. The same notes were overprinted, I think, somewhere around the 1950s. I'm not sure as to, I tried to find out information, but I couldn't. But you can see it's the same note on the front, but it's overprinted. So with that, I think I've used up 45 minutes of time. Probably we have another 15 minutes remaining for any questions. And I will end my presentation now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. But I also would like someone to tell me about these Algerian and the Tunisian banknotes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravindra. Before we go into the Q&A, I really have to apologize that I need to keep this very short Somehow my 2-hour slot didn't adjust for daylight saving time in UK. So actually I only have 1 hour. The other meeting is already breathing on my neck. So I will leave 5 minutes before I close the meeting to reply to Ravindra. And for any Q&A, you can write me. I will actually contact all the participants in advance, and I will handle this through email. So if anyone can reply to Ravindra on his Tunisia notes, please do so. And you need to unmute yourself if you want to speak. Bruce, you want to say something?
Well, I don't know about the Tunisian notes, but there was one, prominent lighthouse, briefly used as a lighthouse, that was not discussed, and that's the Statue of Liberty on the U.S. banknotes. There's a couple of $20 Federal Reserve notes and Federal Reserve banknotes of 1914-15 vintage that shows the Statue of Liberty. And it's my understanding it was actually very briefly used as a lighthouse around 1900s there, turn of the century. So you might want to add that one to your list.
Okay, thank you, Bruce, for that, for pointing that out. I certainly will look into that and add it. Thank you.